It took 8 years for Metroid Prime 4 to finally release. I still remember how excited I was when it was announced shortly after the Switch launch. Over time though, I started to lose hope. And honestly though, the game might never come out. When we finally got a trailer last year, I was happy but also worried. After seeing it, doubt started to creep in. Still about the game and play it from the start to finish. And in the end, yes, it is a Metroid Prime game, but not the kind we wanted. Hello everyone, Dragon Valimar here, and today I want to share my thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and explain why, despite being a Metroid Prime, it doesn't really feel like one. I talk about the gameplay, story, NPC world design, music, and more. Let's begin. Developed by Nintendo and Retro Studio, Metroid Prime first released on the GameCube. It was the first Metroid game in 3D in first person, while keeping the classic Metroid formula: exploration, interconnected map, ability upgrade, and boss fight, just in FPS form. The game was extremely well received. Exploration was fun, bosses were memorable, and the atmosphere was incredible. To this day, still one of my favorites, and I've replayed it many times. Then came Metroid Prime 2, Echo, which was once again an amazing game. The dungeons were fantastic, the story darker, and the light and dark world mechanic was brilliant. And of course, Dark Samus, one of the best antagonists in the series. Later we got Metroid Prime 3 Corruption on Wii. It was different due to motion control. It had more NPC and Federation involvement, which was interesting for the lore. Each planet felt distinct, and you even fought other bounty hunters. It wasn't the best of the trilogy, but it was still fun and satisfying. The ending teased Silex, setting up the next game, which took nearly a decade to arrive. And after all that waiting, this is what we got. That place looked interesting, huh? I mean, wow. Such a cool place. At its core, the gameplay is mostly the same as previous Metroid Prime games. You start fully equipped, lose everything after the prologue, and then gradually regain your abilities while discovering new ones. You collect, upgrade, explore area, and unlock path classic Metroid. Most ability return, but now many are labeled as psychic power. Beam, psychic spider ball, and so on. Honestly, I wasn't a fan of this. It's mostly the same abilities with the word psychic added on the top. There is one new mechanic where you can slow time while shooting, but it's hard to control and very useful. Outside of opening door and revealing item platform, the psychic power don't add much, in my opinion. The beam system also feels simplified. In Metroid Prime 2, for example, you could switch between light and dark beam. Here, that idea is reduced to missile variation, which feel like a downgrade. Overall, the gameplay felt like Metroid Prime, and I was happy they didn't change too much, until two things completely killed my immersion: Mackenzie and the bike, Viola. Let's start with Mackenzie. I'll talk more about NPC later, but this guy completely ruins my hype. He talks constantly, repeat the same line over and over, and treat the player like a child. He's worse than Navi from Zelda. Of course.
If I can find a solution for Chrono Tower's force field with Federation tech. Want to check the Galfed debris in Soul Valley? See if you can find anything useful?
Shut up.
Also, how you doing with the hunt for green energy crystals? Don't forget to bring the green energy crystals to the altar in Fury.
I know.
So grow the memory fruit.
Shut up. Then there's Viola. The bike. I already had doubt when I saw it in the trailer. And unfortunately, I was right. The bike itself looked cool. But what can you actually do with it? You ride it. In an empty desert, collecting crystal. That's it. The desert is completely barren. And while I get that deserts are supposed to feel empty, why choose this setting at all? Why not ruins, a forest, or a massive abandoned city? The bike feels useless and completely out of place in a Metroid Prime game. Aside from that, gameplay is mostly familiar, just with one very unnecessary addition. The story is mostly linear, like previous games. You have objective, complete dungeon, collect key, and ultimately save the planet. The problem is that it's lack originality. Once again, Samus is a chosen savior of a planet. Instead, why not focus on hunting Sylux? Samus is a bounty hunter after all. Speaking of Sylux, we barely see him the entire game. We only encounter robot clones, not the real villain. It's not like Dark Samus, who show up more than once in 2 and 3. And where are the space pirates? No labs, no presence, only Federation members somehow made it the planet. Why just them? I really wonder. And yeah, I understand that apparently Sylux controlled this clone from a distance, but still, it wasn't really him, like Dark Samus. That feels strange for Metroid Prime game without Space Pirate, I would be honest. The prologue is actually great. The base attack is intense, action-packed, and set up something exciting, but it lasts only 30 minutes. After that, the story slows down significantly. Some lore is interesting, especially when NPC talk about their belief or when you read lore logs. Overall, the story isn't bad. It's just not memorable compared to previous entries. The real issue isn't the story or gameplay. It's the world design. Oh, and the ending of this game was freaking bad in my opinion. Warning spoilers. So everyone stay behind to prevent Sylux to attack Samus, and we teleport alone. And that's it. I mean, what kind of ending is that? Okay, we restore the planet, at least that's what it looked like. But still, the story feels like really rushed. I think they could have done so much more in the story and explain about Samus Sylux relationship. If he hates Samus only because he destroyed a weapon he wanted, it's kind of dumb. That's my opinion at least. Visually, the game looked good. Areas like the forest are beautiful, but they could and should have done more. The desert is the worst example. It's massive, empty, and boring. Why aren't there ruins, temple, or remnant of Lamorne civilization? Where did these people live? All we see are mine, factory, a volcano base, and a forest. The dungeons are even worse. The maps are terrible. Compare Metroid Prime 1 map to Prime 4, it's honestly embarrassing. Most dungeons are a straight path to their objective. Rarely do you need come back later with new abilities, which is a core Metroid design principle. In other games, area like the Chozo rooms had paths you could access until much later. That sense of layered exploration is mostly gone. Boss fights are also disappointing. Most of them boil down to shooting until they die, with little to no strategy. Enemies are mostly reused variant rather than unique creature. We have at least half less monster than previous game. The world look nice, but it feels lazy and empty. Honestly, the soundtrack is a huge disappointment. Many areas have little to no music at all, which make exploration feel dull instead of atmospheric. The desert is especially bad. You can spend an hour collecting crystals in complete silence. You can have music with amiibo only, but apparently it still sucks. Some boss themes are fine, but overall this is one of the weakest Metroid Prime soundtrack. Music has always been a core part of the series, and this time it's really fell flat. Interacting with NPCs was actually a good idea. They add lore and make the universe feel more alive. Kodabi is great, Sarge is honorable. The robot is hilarious, Armstrong is a little annoying at first, but became quite serious later. And then there's Mackenzie. Mackenzie is the worst NPC Nintendo has created in years. He never stopped talking, constantly explained obvious things, and ruins immersion. Farming crystal for an hour while hearing the same voice line over and over is torture. NPCs also shouldn't need to be babysit during mission. It becomes annoying fast when you need to heal them, or if they die you fail. NPC worked well in Metroid Prime 3, so this shouldn't have been an issue in the 4. The Pro. Psychic abilities look cool, even if they mostly recycled normal ability. The game looked visually great. The story is decent, even if unoriginal. I mean, we always save a planet, that's always what a Metroid is, most of the time. NPC unlike the world, except Mackenzie maybe. I think it's a good idea to have NPC. Then there is the con. The bike is useless and unnecessary, which I wish it wasn't the case. The desert is empty and boring. The soundtrack are weak. The map are lazy, I think, and extremely short. We don't even need to return to this map again. Lack of enemy variety. There was way more enemies in the 3 trilogy than this game. Silux barely appeared, at least the real him. And we don't really learn a lot about him anyway, except if we do it 100% of the game, which is scanning everything and collect everything. Still, don't explain a lot. I mean, it's not really clear why he ate Samus. It's like he ate Samus just for that reason. I think it's dumb. Mackenzie is annoying. Boring boss fight with no real mechanic. And the ending is not that great. That's everything I wanted to say about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I had fun playing it, but it's far from the best. And honestly, it's disappointing for a game we waited 8 years for. What about you? Did you enjoy the game? What did you like or dislike? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more content like this game review, impression, live stream, short, and blind let's play. I also run another channel, Panagon Lore Archive, where I do lore and theory video on Trail, Genshin Impact, and The Legend of Zelda. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Dragons offline.